Hi everybody, Angie Pace here. We're going to get started in about a minute and a half with a mixed level yoga session. Our session tonight is going to focus on lower back care, and so we will be doing a good bit of our practice lying down. As far as props go, I don't really have anything planned with props, but if you know that you normally use a block or a strap, then go ahead and grab those props that you feel like you might need. We'll be doing a little bit on our hands and knees and lunging, and so as always, if you need an extra cushion for your knees, then you can grab a blanket, grab a pillow, whatever you might need in that arena as well. So go and grab the things that you need. We're going to begin in about 30 seconds. And this is a live class, obviously, and so you can't push the pause button as we are going through it right now. The library page, though, where I'm coming to you from right now, will post this video, and you'll be able to access it after the class. And at that point in time, you'd be able to push that pause button if you needed to throughout. So I now have that it is 6 o'clock and it is time. And so for those of you that are just joining, again, my name is Angie Pace, and I'm teaching this Back Care 3 Facebook yoga live yoga class tonight. And we're going to be doing, like I said earlier, a good bit lying down. Grab whatever props you need. I don't have anything specifically planned prop-wise, but you know, if you know that you typically use them, then go ahead and get those things. And we will begin. So hands at the heart center, sitting up nice and tall. Namaste. And so, welcome. This is a class that we do every Tuesday night via Facebook Live off of this Neva Lomason library page. And of course, we're doing it this way because the library is not quite open yet. But hopefully we can continue these classes once it is open in person. So, but for now, just tune in every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, and we'll do yoga together this way for a minute. So just take your time finding actually a reclined position, because that's how we're going to begin tonight. And so lying down, and then just go ahead and hug the knees into the chest here, just to sort of release through the back body. And just kind of rocking side to side. And then when you're ready, we're going to place the feet on the ground so that the knees remain bent. Okay. And then rather than having the feet about hip width apart, we're actually going to scoot the feet out a little bit, kind of like you're pigeon toeing. And that's going to allow the inner knees to prop one another up so that you're not having to hold the legs up muscularly. And then with the arms, you could have them down by your sides, palms facing up. Some folks like to rest their hands on the belly. Whatever feels best to you, have your head center. And in this pose, just finding your best alignment, doing the best you can. And then just coming into your rhythm of breathing. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling back out through the nose. And to the best of your ability, try to keep your chest relatively level with each in-breath, while it's the navel that moves, that navel area that moves. So every inhalation, your navel is kind of reaching up and away from the spine. And as you exhale, that navel's kind of moving back inwards slightly upward. So it's a very subtle movement of the navel, but we do want to keep the chest level. And so even if you have to put one hand on the navel area, one hand on that mid-chest heart center area, then do that to help you. And it's when we engage in this diaphragmic breathing, this belly breath, that we're able to sort of relax and calm down, be very soothing to the central nervous system. Just a few more breaths here, and if you want to release the chest, release the belly, you can do that. Rest the arms. And then briefly start checking in with yourself on more of a mental level. So noticing how present the mind is right here, right now. But also emotionally, what feeling, what emotion are you experiencing right here, right now? Just noticing. And then, as always, if an intention comes up for you, for your practice, you can take a little bit of time to set that for yourself now. Three more breaths here. Last breath. And then slowly start to blink the eyes open. And we're going to bring the feet back hip width apart, okay? And we're going to cross the outer right ankle over the top of your left thigh. I'm just going to rock back and forth a little bit. And as you can see, I'm reaching my arms out by my sides, kind of in line, chest. And I'm just kind of rocking on the outer edge and then the inner edge of that left foot, back and forth, trying to relax through the hips, relaxing through the belly, and of course, relaxing through the lower back. Shoulders are soft. And then we come back to center, and since it's the right leg that's crossed over, it's going to be the right arm that reaches through the legs, okay? And then either hold on to the pants or maybe behind that left thigh. For flexible folks here in this pose, you would hold on, or clasp the hands rather, in front of your left shin, okay? So just see what works for you. Now, try not to let your sacrum lift off of the ground there. You want to keep, reaching through the base of the spine in an effort to keep that sacrum grounded. One more breath here. And release. We're going to extend that right leg skyward and just come into a gentle hamstring opener, circling that right foot in one direction and in the opposite direction. And then let's point and flex the foot a few times, all the while getting that nice opening stretch through your hamstring. And then keep your right foot flexed. Let go of the leg. See if you can hold it here, hands free. See if you can extend maybe that left leg, unless you're having a lower back flare up and you need that extra lower back support. Take a big breath in, and as the breath flows out, just start to lower that right heel down with as much control as you can muster. Nice and slowly. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So, soles of the feet on the mat. We hug the knees into the chest and we just rock side to side. And this time, we'll place the hands on the kneecaps and do little circles with the knees in one direction. Now, When you're ready, opposite direction. And we're just relaxing all of those muscles as best we can through the back body. And reclining like this really facilitates that, makes that easier. Back to center. We're going to put the soles of the feet back down onto the ground. Feet are hip width apart. And this time we take that left foot. Outer ankle is going to cross right over the top of the right foot. Arms out by our sides so that we can easily rock back and forth very gently, very slowly, relaxing through the shoulders, the jaw, anywhere you might be experiencing tension or gripping. And then coming back to center. Since my left leg crossed over the top of the other, I reach my left arm through the legs and then clasp my hands either behind the right thigh or in front of the right shin. Just see again what's available to you. You might be able to go a little bit deeper on one side than the other. That's pretty normal because we have a side, our dominant side, that's more flexible, that's stronger, that's more balanced. And so in our home practice, we just try to hang out on that non-dominant side rather, for a little bit longer than we would on the dominant side, just to try to even and balance things out between one side of the body and the other. One more breath, and then release that right foot down. Extend your left leg skyward, and we're just going to come into that little hamstring opener, circling that left foot around a few times in one direction, and in the opposite direction. And then pointing and flexing that foot a few times. Keep the foot flexed, inhale. And as you exhale, release that leg. Hold the leg there, hands free. Decide if you're going to extend your right leg or if you're going to keep that support for the lower back by keeping the knee bent. Big breath in. Exhale, start to float that left heel down with control. Fighting gravity a little bit here. Good. And then soles of the feet back down onto the mat. Knees are bent. We're going to lift the feet here. And instead of Apanasana, hugging the knees in, which we've been doing, we're going to come into our happy baby pose. So reach your arms through your legs, knees kind of part a little bit, and then we grab hold to either the inner edges or outer edges of the feet, and we open the feet away from the midline of the body. Feet are flexed, and we're working our way toward directing the flexed, or rather the bottom of the flexed feet to where they're parallel with the ceiling. Knees on either side of the body bent as though they're trying to touch the ground. Reaching through the base of the spine to keep that sacrum grounded. 2 more breaths here, happy baby. Really good for opening through the groin, opening through the lower back. 1 more breath. And then releasing the feet. We're going to take the feet wider than hip width. We're going to do 1 more little pulsing movement before we come into a sitting position. So arms are out by our sides. My feet are much wider spread than hip width. And so they're probably you're going to have 1 foot really close to the edge of your mat and then 1 foot close to the other edge of the mat. So windshield wiper knees, inhale. As we exhale, we're just going to let the knees drift to this left side. Now we're rolling on the outer edge of the left foot, inner edge of the right. Right hip is off of the ground. You might not be able to tell, but it is, okay? And then inhale back to center. Exhale, knees are going to move to the right side, and we're just going to follow the breath here. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Try to relax the lower back. Relax through the hips, even through the abdomen. Trying to be as soft as you can there. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center, and exhale, right. And this time, keep the knees facing the right side and roll onto the right side of your body. And I'll just hang out here for a few breaths. When you're ready, just use your hands to very gently, very carefully press yourself up to sitting. And so we're just going to come upright, taking a seat, and let's cross the left leg in front of the right, just to be on the same page here together. So sitting up nice and tall, inhale. And as we exhale, we're just going to tuck the chin toward the chest, sitting up nice and tall, trying not to round through the spine as that chin tucks in. And then as you inhale, roll your head to your right side, keep the shoulders shrugged down, rolled open. Exhale back to center. And then inhale, left side. Exhale, center. We're just going to follow the breath here. Inhale, right. Exhale. And one more visit to this left side. Inhale. And then exhale back to center. One more visit to the right side. Inhale. Exhale back to center. And then inhale, lift your head back upright. We're going to start stretching through the shoulders a bit. So take your left hand back behind you with your right hand. You're going to kind of grab hold of that left hand and see about kind of keeping that hand as far across the back body as you can. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, tuck the chin toward the chest, and then as the breath flows back in, roll your head toward that right shoulder. You get a big lengthening stretch, the left side of the neck down into the shoulder. Breathing one more breath. And then tucking your chin back towards your chest. Inhale, lift your head back to center and release that arm. Same thing other side. We're going to reach back behind the body with the right hand. The left hand just kind of finds that right hand and kind of sort of fixes it toward the left side of the body. Big breath. Exhale, tuck your chin. Inhale and roll your head toward that left side. So now we get that lengthening stretch to the right side of the neck, moving down into the right shoulder. Take a big breath in. Exhale, roll your head toward your chest, chin toward your chest. And then inhale, bring your head back to center. Release the hand. And we'll take our time coming onto the hands and the knees. So hands and knees here. And we're just going to press back into one of the best poses for lower back health, and that is our Balasana, child's pose. You can have your forehead resting on the ground here, or on stacked hands, or stacked fists. If you have hypertension issues, then you want a little height for the head, so stacking the fists is going to be the way you want to go every time you come into child's pose. Another option here, if it is difficult to breathe, we can take the knees wider and then come into a wide-kneed version as well. So really, this is all about finding what's comfortable for you. We'll come into child's pose several times throughout our practice tonight, and so being comfortable. If you have knee issues, you'll be on your back, reclined with the knees hugged in, just like an upside-down child's pose. So whatever version you need to practice, listen to your body, honor what you need. If you're not really familiar with a yoga practice, it's very different than most exercises that we might be accustomed to. We're not going to be pushing ourselves in a yoga practice necessarily, especially if there's any pain. We want to avoid that and back off of whatever we're doing. Or another indicator we've kind of pushed beyond where we need to be is if it's difficult to breathe. So keep those two indicators in mind, the breath and that pain. And if you experience either of those issues, then back off of whatever it is we're doing. Inhale, coming onto your hands and knees. And then we're just going to move back and forth between our dog tilt and cat tilt. So pretty much every pose we do in yoga, we're either in a neutral positioning of that pelvic bowl, or we're in a dog tilt with the navel dropped in this situation, sits bones in the crown of the head lifting slightly, but mostly we're extending through the spine. And then we exhale, we pull the navel in, tucking the chin, rounding through the spine, pushing through the hands and the knees, tops of your feet even. And then we go back and forth 4 more times. Inhale, dog tilt into your cow pose. Exhale, cat tilt, scared cat. 3 more. Inhale, dog tilt. Exhale. 2 more. Exhale. And then 1 more. So these little pulses here are a great thing to practice every morning to stave off some lower back issues, especially. And it's a strengthening stretch just to help that entire core girdle. Curl your toes under. Make sure that your knees are definitely underneath your hips here. And then send the hips up into downward facing dog. Nod the head gently. Yes. Shake the head gently. No. Pull the navel in. Take a big breath. And as the breath goes out, again, lowering the knees. Pushing your hips back into child's pose. And resting here. 1 breath. Slide the hands knee level. Inhale, roll your way up to hero pose. Now, hero pose is not available to all of us. And I'm going to kind of move out of the frame a little bit, or my head will, but you'll get to see the modification. The modification is we come to standing knees instead. Okay? If you're on standing knees, all right, then you're going to put your hands into the low part of your back body. And you're going to inhale and press the hips forward as you look upward toward the ceiling. Now, if you are in hero pose, Virasana, then we're rolling the shoulders open, coming into the back bend by placing the fingertips down by our hips, looking up, either staying on the fingertips or coming down to the heels of the hands, really broadening through the chest here. And the very last step, if you are able, is to press the hips forward, lifting them up into that cat tilt. 1 more breath. And then as you inhale, coming back upright out of the back bend. As you exhale, coming into your child's pose, Balasana. Inhale, lifting up onto the fingertips. Exhale, walking your hands towards your left side and then folding. And when you do, rest your head on an arm or on the ground. A nice stretch to that right side body. 1 more breath here. And then coming out of your fold, walking your hands back to center, walking your hands over toward your right side, and then again folding here. Lifting up out of the fold, walking your hands back to center, coming onto the hands and the knees, curling the toes, sending the hips back up, downward facing dog. This time we're going to pedal, bending 1 knee as we send the opposite heel down toward the ground. Switching out, keep pulling that navel in, protecting the lower back, pushing firmly through the hands, fingers are spread. Good, let's do that 1 more breath. And then lowering your knees. Pressing your hips back into child's pose. Sliding your hands back knee level. Inhale, rolling your way up. Remember, if you want to come to standing knees, you can. And place the hands into the small of the back. Otherwise, Virasana, hero pose. Rolling the shoulders open, placing the fingertips. And inhale, looking up. Shining your heart center up towards the sky. You might stay there. You might be able to bring the heels of the hands down. You may be able to start really bringing your hips into a cat tilt to lift them away from the heels. Take 1 more breath wherever you are, whether you're standing knees or Virasana. And then slowly lower your hips down. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, and coming back into your child's pose, Balasana. 1 more breath. And then back to the hands and the knees. This time we're just going to do 3 of our dog tilt, cat tilt pulses. So inhale into that dog tilt. Exhale, cat. And 2 more. Inhale, dog tilt. Exhale, cat. 1 more, dog tilt. Exhale, cat. And then coming back to a neutral positioning. We're going to curl the toes under like we're going into downward facing dog. Knees are hip width apart. But instead of down dog, we're going to start pressing the hips back with those toes curled under. So this is going to stretch your feet. And the more we bring our hands toward the body, the deeper that stretch is going to be. Of course, you might be able to come upright and sort of sit on the heels. So wherever you are, let's just take 3 more breaths. It can be really intense, stretching our feet like this. And then slowly coming out. We're going to come back into a cross-legged positioning, but this time we're going to have that right leg crossed in front of the left again, so that we're all on the same page here. And so just start to roll your shoulders open a few times. And then roll the shoulders forward. Just get some movement there, some warmth. I'm just going to reach that left hand out to the side. Inhale, right arm up and over. Keep the right hip grounded. As we side bend to the left. Big breath in. Release. And then inhale, coming back to center. Placing that right hand. Inhale, side bend to your right side. We're going to keep that left hip grounded as best we can. Nice and open really through both sides of the body, so we're not collapsing through that right side. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale, back to the hands and knees. We're getting ready to make our way up into downward facing dog and then to standing. So from hands and knees, curl the toes. Send your hips upright. Start walking your feet up toward your hands, toward the top of your mat. So the knees are going to be slightly bent here, and we're just going to allow the head to hang. So the crown of the head is doing the best it can to direct itself downward. And we're just going to hang out here, maybe hands on the ground, maybe you're hugging behind the legs, or you could be crossing your arms in front of the legs, really whatever feels best to you. Stay where you are for a few breaths here. As I move the camera, and get ready for our standing poses, which we're not going to do a lot standing, but a little bit. We'll do a little bit. So from that fold, we're going to keep the knees bent and just roll our way up to standing, coming all the way upright. Okay. Scoot back just a little bit more so my head isn't cut off here. And then bring your hands together at the heart center. Jolly Mudra. Your feet can either be hip width apart, or you might be in a closed mountain with your feet closer together. But we've done so much now lying down and then sitting. And so just check in with yourself and notice how it feels to stand up. Maybe it feels pretty good because we had all that time to rest the lower back as we were lying down. Just notice. And on the next in-breath, We're going to reach the arms out wide and up and come into our first half salute. Exhale, folding. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. So either pressing against the fronts of your shins lightly or your fingertips on the ground. Exhale, lower. Inhale, slight bend through the knees. Activate the core as you reach the arms out and up. And then exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. Top of our mats, full salutes. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, folding. Inhale up part way, flatten your back. Exhale and fold. Hands to the mat. We're going to step, or if you're taking flight, you can hop your feet back, but do it with control, activating the core either way. This time we'll lower the knees, hug the elbows in, lower down to the belly with control, and then inhale. Maybe slide the hands slightly forward for cobra. Exhale, lower. We're going to do 2 more of those cobra pulses. Inhale. Elbows are hugged in, shoulders are shrugged down. Exhale, lower. 1 more time, inhale. Broad the sacrum. Exhale, lower. And then hands at chest level. Inhale, pressing up to your hands and knees this time. Toes are curled under. Exhale, downward facing dog here. Pressing through the hands and the feet. Lifting the sits bones up, but then sending them toward the wall back behind you. And maybe the heels touch the ground, maybe not, it doesn't matter. But just sending them in that direction is what you're trying to do. 1 more breath. And then walking or stepping or even hopping your feet to the top of your mat. Coming up partway, flat back, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, slight bend to the knees, reaching the arms out and up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. Go into a little bit with lunging here. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Hands to the mat. Step that right foot way back, high lunge, but then lower the right knee down to the ground. When you find your balance, come upright, reach the arms up. If that's intense for the shoulders in any way, then you can rest your hands on that front thigh instead. Take 1 more breath. And as the breath flows out, let the palms come together and bring the hands to the instep of that left foot. I'll kind of scoot back a little bit so you can see. Now, left knee is going to hug in toward that left arm, our sleeping lizard. If you wanted to make this a little more intense, we would come down to the elbows, the forearms, but we want to make sure that that left knee is tracking over the left ankle rather than beyond the toe line. Our last option here would be to lift that back knee, curling the toes of the back foot under, lifting the back knee. Take 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then back to the hands if you were a little lower. We're going to take our time, stepping that left foot back, coming into plank, shifting forward on the toes, either lowering the knees like you did before or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog, your choice. Shoulders are relaxed. Exhale, downward facing dog. So you might be coming up onto the hands and knees and then pressing into downward dog that way. Okay? Otherwise, upward facing dog, we roll over the toes, straight into downward facing dog. So now we're going to step the right foot forward, lowering that left knee down, finding your foundation, your balance, as you come upright, reaching your arms up, sinking into the lunge in a controlled way. Okay, 2 more breaths here. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, let the palms come together and the hands are going to come down to the instep. So you might have to kind of scoot that foot over, that left or that right foot over to fit the right shoulder. And we can just stay right here on the hands, back knee on the ground. We may be able to come down to the forearms and elbows, our sleeping lizard. Last step is we would curl the toes of that left foot underneath us so that we could lift that left knee away from the ground here. Lots of options, and you're just going with whatever option works best for you tonight. When you're ready, we're going to lift up onto the hands where we started, and then we're going to step this right foot back again in our plank pose. Big breath in. As the breath flows out, lower your knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So I'm kind of doing the more beginner version for you guys that aren't practicing that full vinyasa, just so you can kind of see how you work your way up toward that. So one more breath here, down dog. Lifting the heels, bending the knees, and then getting those feet up to the top of the mat, whether that's hopping or stepping or whatever you need to do. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, slight bend through the knees. Reach the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale. Hands are going to rest at the chest. And then release the hands down. We're going to come into a little bit of balance practice. And so, proud dancer. We're going to come into proud dancer. And so if you need to come to a wall or hold on to a chair here, then do that. Okay? Because this one can be very challenging. So we're going to start with this right side. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can sort of better see what I'm doing. So holding on to something if you need to, or freestanding, grab hold of your right foot. And at first we just get a nice stretch to this right quad, the front of that thigh. And then make sure that there's very little space between this bent knee and the extended leg. We don't have that bent knee angling out to the side, but it's angled downward. And then another thing we want to look for here is that the support leg, in this case this left leg, is not locked at the knee. There's a slight little micro bend there at all times. Reach that left arm up if that feels okay, unless you're having to hold on to something with the left arm or the left hand. And then over time, when you do get this to the level of freestanding, keep that support knee slightly bent and just slightly tip forward, just the slightest tip. You might stay there, or you might be able to come into the final step, which is to push the foot into the hand. And as you can see, that lifts the knee. Now here, if you can practice this in front of a mirror, it's good because you can try to keep your hips in alignment. The temptation is that this right hip wants to, be much higher than that left hip. One more breath wherever you are. And then very slowly make your way back upright and release that foot. Proud dancer. We're doing the same thing on the other side. So again, if you have to hold on with something, you'll be using your left hand to hold on. You'd be using your right hand to hold on because we're going to grab hold of that left foot. So grabbing hold of the left foot. And first we just try to find as much balance as we can here. Over time, if we're able to reach that right arm up, we do. Let that help you stay upright. Remember that this support knee, this right knee in this case, is slightly bent, a little micro bend. And then once we are ready to progress, we can slightly come forward. And then from there, if you're able to come into that final step, you push the foot into the hand, and you try to keep the hips as level as you can here while you do it. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then just slowly start to make your way back upright. Releasing that foot, hands at the chest. And we're going to come back to the top of our mats here. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, folding. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat. Step the right foot way back, high lunge. Now you do have the option, if crescent lunge is too challenging, you can spin that back heel down and do warrior one rather than crescent lunge. Crescent lunge, we're up on the ball of the back foot. We find our balance. Reach the arms up. Breathing here, feeling the weight of the body in the front foot, front leg, back leg. Take a big breath. As the breath flows out, we're just going to bring the hands down and then step back into your plank. Inhale, shift forward, lower the knees or chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg is going to step forward this time. So stepping that leg through, up on the ball of the back foot, or we spin the back heel down, your choice. Now you reach those arms upright, upward salute. Shoulders are relaxed. Lower body is sturdy and strong. Upper body is light and graceful. Take a big breath in. Exhale, float the arms down. Stepping back into plank. Lowering your knees, pressing your hips back. Child's pose, resting here. A few more breaths, resting. And then from child's pose, come back into a sitting position. We're going to have our feet out in front of us, like this. All right, then you're going to take your left arm underneath that left leg, grab hold of your right ankle, bring that right heel closer in toward your left hip. And then that left heel is going to come close in toward your body. And you're going to use your hands to kind of hug that knee in as you sort of at the same time sit up, bringing the chest toward the knee toward the chest at the same time. We're preparing for heron pose. So when you're ready, grabbing hold, I'll kind of turn to the side, grabbing hold of that front foot. And at first we just bring the shin close to parallel to the ground. And then we're trying not to collapse. See how rounded we are when we collapse? Instead, we're sitting up nice and tall. Over time, we work toward extending this front leg to the best of our ability. You might be using a strap here, and that's fine too. So some of us are going to stay right here. There is a twist if you feel comfortable doing it though, either holding on to the strap around the foot or using your right hand to reach around the edge of that left foot and then coming into a twist, actually twisting toward your left side. So with that left hand, it could be on the ground or the arm could be lifted. Either way, again, just sitting up nice and tall, trying not to round to the back body. Take one more breath. And then slowly coming back to center, holding on to that foot, bringing the leg just as close in towards you as you can, getting that nice stretch to the hamstring, and then lowering the foot back down. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. So feet out in front of you. This time, that right arm's going to reach under the right leg, grab hold of the left ankle, bring that left heel in toward your right hip, bring your right heel in toward the front of that left ankle, and then just sit up nice and tall. Turn to the side this time. Let's see, actually it would be better to turn to this side. Sitting up nice and tall, grab hold of that right foot And at first we just bring the shin close to parallel to the ground. And we might just stay here the whole time, even taking the twist, you know, that way with the knee bent. Or we might be able to extend the leg. Just see what's available to you without having to round, okay? Sitting up nice and tall. Then either holding on to your strap with your left hand only or using your left hand to grab around the outer edge of the right foot as we come into our twist. And so this is what it looks like with the hand on the ground. We can twist this way, that knee can be bent. Or we could reach that arm up and then turn the head and look toward the fingertips or beyond the fingertips of that lifted hand, really. Sitting up nice and tall, inhale. Exhale back to center. Grabbing hold of the foot one more time, leg one more time, sitting up. And releasing that foot down. Extend your legs out in front of you. And we're going to recline again. So whenever you're ready, lowering onto the back body, rocking side to side. We're just starting to wind things down a bit here. Breathing. Let's put the soles of the feet down onto the ground. And we're going to just do a little bit with bridge, Pada Pitham. So inhale, reach your arms up and let the shoulders relax and broaden. Keep your head to center. On the next inhalation, lift the hips by pressing down with the feet, kept tilting to lift your hips up, and then exhale and lower down. 2 more times like that. Inhale, pressing your hips upright, cat tilting through that pelvic bowl. Exhale, lower down. 1 more time. Inhale, pressing up, cat tilt. Lowering down. And then hugging the knees into the chest again. We come to recline twist before Shavasana. So arms reach out, inhale. Exhale, take your knees to your left side. Now the lower body's twisting to the left, upper body twisting to the right. You might even turn your head toward your right side. Right shoulder is doing what it can to stay grounded. And then back to center with your head, back to center with your knees. Inhale, exhale, take the knees to your right side. And now the lower body is twisting to the right, upper body twisting to the left. Left shoulder in contact with the ground. One more breath. And back to center. Relax the feet down. You can stay right here with the knees bent the whole time, or you might extend your legs. Just see what feels best to you. I'm going to kind of talk us through, so I'm actually going to sit up for that. So just take your time finding a comfortable recline position. This is, a time when, especially since we're probably practicing from home, most of us right now, you could make yourself really comfortable. You could take a pillow under the head, under the knees. For those of you with eye pillows, you could put the eye pillow or maybe even a folded up hand towel over the eyes to promote that relaxation through your eyes. And so if it feels okay to do so, close your eyes and let them relax behind the cheeks of the face. Allow your breath to just follow your own rhythm. At this point, we're not manipulating the breath in any way, just allowing each one to happen, each breath cycle to happen on its own. And so anytime we do yoga, we want to give ourselves this little bit of rest at the end. This is where a lot of subtle yet really powerful work takes place where we are present with the breath, we are present with the sensations of the body. Noticing even, the muscles in your face, if there's any tension there, especially through the jaw. And so if you notice that there's tension there through the jaw, you can try to kind of move it back and forth and release that. Another little trick is to, keep your mouth closed, rest your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and then let your upper teeth slightly part from your lower teeth, and that helps to relax that mandible muscle, which coincidentally is, the jaw. That mandible muscle is one of the strongest muscles in your body. Okay, so relaxing there, and let that relaxation then move down into the rest of the physical body. Another key area is that navel. Is that navel pulsing as we breathe in? Is it drawing inward, slightly upward as we breathe out? And even though we're lying down, just doing our best to balance our weight between both sides of the body. Doing our best to stay in alignment, even though, again, we're reclined. And just staying with your breath for a few more rounds. Every time your mind wanders, which it will, we just acknowledge, oh, I'm not being present right now. And then we do what we can to invite the mind back into the here and now. And it's in this practice that we're releasing stress and we are training ourselves to be less reactive when we're off of the mat, facing challenges that might come our way, stressors that might come our way. A few more breath here. And now we're going to start, or I'm going to give the suggestion anyways, that we start moving, making our way out of Shavasana. But of course, as always with these virtual classes, if you want, you can spend more time. You can have sort of an extended relaxation pose, and that's fine. So if you do choose, or when you do choose to come back upright, I should say, then just be really slow and careful with all of your movements. The idea is that we slowly make our way out of Shavasana in an effort to, sort of have those positive benefits of the pose linger with us for as long as possible. Okay, so we always come out really slowly. Plus, we don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to make ourselves dizzy by just kind of springing up from a reclined position into a seated position. So whenever you're ready, rolling onto your side like we did before, and then coming back upright. Let the palms of the hands rest at your heart center. Tuck your chin toward your chest, and maybe bring that intention that you set back to mind. Check in with yourself one last time. Notice how you feel now compared to when you first sat down, and hopefully it's a little better. Hopefully it's a little more relaxed, and you can ease in to the rest of your evening. Hopefully the lower back feels really good too. So thank you so much for joining. Remember, we're here every Tuesday night. Facebook Live Yoga, Neva Lomason Library page. And thank you to the Neva Lomason Library for supporting this free class for our community. Namaste. Bye, everybody.